Hi and welcome to the State of Search Tools Week presentation demo. In this video we'll be looking at LinkResearchTools, who will be showing their product in honor of the State of Search Tools Week, in which we look at all different aspects of tools. Find more about the Tools Week on stateofsearch.com/tools. Now to LinkResearchTools. Your presenter today is Christoph Cemper, founder and CEO of LinkResearchTools. He will be guiding you through the demo and will be answering Q&A afterwards. Enjoy!
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Christoph Cemper, and I want to just give you a brief introduction about me. I'm the owner, the founder, the author of the LinkResearchTools because I used them for link building in 2005, 2006 already internally. So I'm an SEO, and I'm also a happy dad. I'm also known as the guy with the orange jacket because I used to wear it on a couple of conferences, and I'm a data geek too, and yeah. Therefore, I built the LinkResearchTools, which today have 18 different tools, different modules for different tasks in link building. So be it competitive research that we'll look at, be it link cleanup with link detox, or just quick backlink checks, that is the most common function, you know, if compared to other tools like Majestic or Ahrefs. But we're going to go more into detail about the other tools here, of course, as well. Some clients that we work with are pretty high profile, and a lot more here in Europe and in the US we already have because we're on the market for 3.5 years, and maybe you are among them at some point too, and that's why I want to present our software to you today. Well, you know, the penguin is here, and that was a big outcry in 2012 when link penalties and link-based penalization of web pages actually became reality. In 2012, we saw 3 major penguin updates in April, May, and October, but also the exact match domain update. And using the LinkResearchTools, we also created case studies for those, like the minorweatherreport.com for the Google EMD update that was published across the globe, but also Penguin 3 case studies where we actually used our software to compare winners against losers, just like you would compare winners in your niche against, well, a client that is not yet ranking well. And these links I can send to you after the presentation as well, because obviously taking them down maybe it takes a bit too late. But there was a big case study about the EMD update. We also did a case study about data that we got about dropped in traffic. So the question was, how unnatural must it be? And that is some important data that we use in our link detox software, for instance. And I'm sure you guys heard about the Interflora penalty that I also wrote about 2 weeks ago when they dropped with almost 70% suspicious and toxic links, which for the penalty. In fact, they just tripped a certain threshold from my point of view. They simply overdid it. Okay. And we created a case study because I thought so many crappy cheap links still on that site, it should have tanked already in Penguin. So what was going on? What happened?
Christoph, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because your sound is going off and on.
And another one where I tried to use. Sorry?
Your sound was going off and on, so could you do the last slide again?
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. The when I looked at Interflora, I saw that they have so many crappy and cheap links still in the link profile that the editorials were just the tip of an iceberg. And I created these 2 case studies that we have on the site as well, or visible via the short link that you see here, where you could see not only the link wheels and the cheap paid blog posts and the one, which would be the negative links, but also 101 great links that I think Interflora could build today using our software, we use tools like Missing Link Tool or the Link Juice Thief to find those pretty high-profile link opportunities for them. And we can look at some examples a bit later on. But in general, my saying is you get what you pay for. And if you do link building on a very, let's say, old school level where you go for really cheap links, you are in trouble. And a lot of people did that. And our goal is to find those problematic links as fast as possible. Some of those are pretty obvious if they are de-indexed backlinks. Some others are also easy to find if you have hundreds of links coming from the same IP. That's just a look and some of the charts that we have in the Backlink Profiler. But Link Detox also combines all those signals to gauge a toxicness or suspiciousness of a link. For instance, here, link velocity trend is a pretty popular metric and pretty clearly pictures those expired link networks or paid blog post networks where sites that actually got out of favor in terms of the link profile stick out like red flags. And using our software, you can easily find those. Some others are actually common rules that you should not get a lot of links from a lot of different domains that are all registered by the same guy. But a lot of people did that and still do. And you want to find those really as fast as possible so that you, well, have a way to find cheap and spammy links like pictured here in an automated fashion. So that's all goal of the Link Research Tools and specifically the Link Detox module in there that I'm going to show you a little bit in the live demo in a minute. So the Link Research Tools themselves are a web-based software that you can rent on a monthly basis. And you see, we do have different procedures or different categories of tools, be it for a quick analysis, be it for backlink profiling, a deep dive into a link profile, where we combine data from 23 different data sources and verify them. Usually if you take your Google Webmaster Tool links, that's only one puzzle piece. Then if you take links from, say, Majestic, that's another piece of the puzzle. Then you go to Open Site Explorer and download another 5,000 links. And our goal is to aggregate all that data and enrich that with 97 different SEO metrics, be it the registration data, be it the link velocity trend. You could even have page rank. We call this a legacy metric because we have our own metric for power and for trust called Cemper Power Trust, but you have it all in the tools. Then for competitive research, we have the competitive keyword analyzer that helps you quickly understand the market. You just give it 10 keywords and it tells you which metrics do the websites have in common that rank great for those keywords. So you can quickly see how easy and how hard is a specific keyword to go after. Not every keyword is the same, and actually every market is different depending on the country, the language, and the keyword. And that's also what we look at in the competitive landscape analyzer. The competitive landscape analyzer, for instance, gives you a 30-second answer to how many no-follows are natural in my space. I'm sure some of you have heard about these rules of thumb. You need 20% no-follows, you need 50% no-follows, you need 10% no-follows, but that's all wrong. The truth is that no-follow ratio, for instance, is very, very depending on which market you're in. And there are some markets that have very high no-follow ratios as natural in the top 10, and then there are other markets where a no-follow versus follow link ratio of 5% is already high. And you want to make sure you understand your playing field. Okay? There's no such thing as the golden rule of 20% no-follows or something like that, right? Another rule in the competitive research, another tool is a competitive link velocity, which, as the name implies, allows you to understand link growth of your website versus your competitor's website. So that helps you understand how many links are they building on an ongoing basis, how many links are they losing, how many image links are they gaining per month. And again, here you want to make sure you understand the playing field in which you are. For link prospecting, that's the typical link building tools that you use to actually find link prospects. Number one is the Serb research tool, where you can actually give it a couple of keywords, up to 50, and we find websites that rank well for those keywords, and then we filter them. We take out the duplicates, we take out those where you already have a link from, and then only show you a list of websites enriched with power, with trust, and with other criteria, so that you can filter down. And we're going to look at an example. The contact finder is what the name says, a tool to give you contact information, not only the domain owner's name and email, but also other data that we find on the website. If we find a contact page, we show you data from there. If you find an about page, we show you data from there. If we find out that this webmaster also owns 10 other blogs, we show you those 10 other blogs. So you can send him an email to, well, try get in touch about all opportunities, and so on. Of course, the social profiles on Twitter, Facebook, etc. are all included there. Then for advanced link prospecting, we have common backlinks tool, missing links tool, and the links choose thief. The missing link tool, for instance, does something very obvious. You give it your competitors, and it tells you which links do you not yet have. So you can actually create a delta profile between those websites that you go after and your own website. And of course, sometimes those could still be thousands of websites, and then you can use the filters to dive deeper. The link check tool does just that. You can use it to verify your build links on an ongoing basis, to monitor them, for instance, every month or every week, and then get alerted when some links change or some links go down. A very similar function is actually the link alert tool, where you can get alerts via email, just like you use to get emails from Google Alerts, except that these specifically watch the backlinks of a website. That's very helpful if you want to monitor your own site for, well, it could be link spam in terms of a negative SEO attack, but it also could be links that you get where you want to reach out to the people that link to you. Guess what? If you come back to a guy who linked to you yesterday, call him up and say thank you. You're more likely to actually convert that link maybe in a helpful link or get even more links from that website than if you would call back, let's say, 3 months later. And the second use case here is that you can apply link alerts to your competitors and understand where they are getting links from on an ongoing basis. So, for instance, if there's a product comparison published somewhere on the web, and you are not in there, but your competitor is, you get an alert because he's linked from that comparison, and then you can pick up the phone and call that webmaster and make your suggestion to maybe get included into the comparison. Well, and then for the site audit, and this is truly important for many of you, Link Detox analyzes all links to your website and informs you about toxic and suspicious ones that you should clean up. And some more details will follow, but in general you can use that tool to find those links that you want to remove, either manually or automatically via the disavow tool. We have an export interface for the Google disavow tool, and you can also give that data back to us so that we know which links you disavowed. Remember, if you do a round-trip link detoxing, if you do a cleanup in multiple steps, you want to make sure that you always have a complete picture of all the links. And you do not have that in any other software, because we're the only software that actually takes this disavow information back to process it for you. The link choose recovery tool finds links to dead pages on your domain. That's typically the case when you had a relaunch. And some of the websites I look at every day have hundreds of links going to the nirvana on their website, to a 404. Which means the links are dead. They don't work anymore. That is a mistake that happens every day, but can be fixed in a couple minutes by just using the link choose recovery tool. So you don't lose link choose that you already earned, maybe years ago. And similarly, the strongest Subpages tool allows you to understand which of my pages on the site actually have the best link choose. and that should reflect a priority of your products. You don't want, for instance, your about page to be very, very strong. And that helps you to understand how your site is structured and where the really strong links go to, so that you could possibly reorganize. Okay? So after this introduction on the tools, I want to dive right in to some of these reports here that I prepared for you. For instance, the one that we saw in the presentation before as well was Interflora and an analysis of their backlinks. So we found 10,517 links on 7,000 pages, which means approximately every second page has 2 links on them. And keep in mind, we do only show, in this specific case, 5 links per domain. That's simply because if you have a site-wide link on 10 million subpages, that's not worth 10 million links, right? And it would be the wrong thing to count them as 10 million links. So we cut off after the 5 strongest links for this analysis. You can change that if you want in other analysis modes. But what we clearly see here is that roughly only a third of the links going to Interflora are classified as healthy. We got some toxic here, which could be links from websites that have a virus, from websites that are marked as malware, from websites that are actually, malicious, also marked as malicious in Google. And the big chunk here are 65% of 4,600 links being suspicious. Now, what is suspicious? What is a suspicious link? We heard it before a little bit about the same IPs, about the same owners. And what Link Detox does actually is it takes all the information that we have about the links, like the registrant information, like the IP, and the link velocity trend. You see how I enable all these here in the detail table, and uses that information to classify a link as toxic or as suspicious. Okay, and to give you an overview about the different rules here, we have another breakdown table, the Detox rules breakdown, where you see that, for instance, our number 1 rule, suspicious one, is a page that has no Cemper Power Trust and a very weak Cemper Power Trust on the domain level. So a page without external links on a weak domain is usually somewhat suspicious. And if you look at that kind of links that we see here, suspicious one, you see how they have no link growth or even negative link growth. And these any flower, any flowers, any plant, all hosted on the same IP here, all owned by the same guy, be it AnyWeb Limited or this Angelica. And quickly just loading one example here. Now we can also drill down here with some more details and see that's a link saying roses. If we look at this page, you see what I mean. Knock me not, but actually this is a page that got knocked by Google because it has a link to Interflora and another one to another free blog. If you click through to that one, wow, we have a link to Interflora and another one to the next step in the link wheel. So you see, we immediately found a spammy link page that goes on and on and on through these different free hosts in this case. Okay, that one doesn't even load, and I know they are probably just cleaning up that stuff, but it serves as a good example for a suspicious link. I would say that suspicion was justified. So if we go back, we see other suspicious links. Here, suspicious 10 would be links from websites that have a negative link velocity, which means they are on quite fishy sites or sites that got out of favor. If you look at this one here, Mia's Prom, for instance, see, we have nurse uniforms, medical uniforms free coupon codes, all kinds of spammy link posts or paid blog posts. And again, that's something we automatically detected using that rule. Another rule would be toxic one, domains that are not indexed in Google, which is usually a sign that they are penalized. And yeah, it really looks like that if you just scroll over these URLs or even, well, load them up in the browser. So I think you got the idea of how working with a link detox looks like. You could, of course, export all those as Excel sheets or CSV files, and you can also rerun those. So if you export those files via a format for Google Disavow links, we also tell you that we found toxic links on site-wides that are on whole domains. So you could even exclude those completely. Keep in mind, generating this file still requires, and we recommend that you review the data that you get to make sure that you really know what you disavow. But next step then would be, and this is a report I prepared, to disavow and also upload those disavowed links back to us. And as you can see here in this example, we disavowed almost 4,000 spammy links to Interflora that changed the picture completely. The percentage of healthy versus these suspicious already got to 60-40 again, okay, which is probably the picture that Google sees now for the website. And you want to make sure that you keep track of what you disavow in that way so that your analysis is actually correct. So, and this disavowed status is being kept in the software for all the link research that you do for your projects and your clients. And you see, we also got the Google disavows here, and they are not classified as toxic or suspicious anymore. Yeah, to not spend more time here, I would be happy to answer more questions about the link detox later on, but for now, I want to skip to other type of research that we can do, because one of those really popular ones, Interflora Co. UK, is of course the quick backlinks tool that we can use to quickly load up a list of links like you would do in other Site Explorer type of tools. And you see we're loading the report here in a couple seconds. It's loading as we speak, and you already see, oh, it's loading here. You see how we drill down into anchor text breakdown by power trust or by power or by trust. And what becomes visible really quick is that 27% of the links, oh, I just hit refresh, 27% of the links do not have anchor text anymore. So that could be part of the cleanup action as well. We also see a couple links from this quick report here that only shows up to 10,000 backlinks are already marked as disavowed, and some of them are even no follows that we disavowed. But you find that information back here, and if you want, we have a feature called slices where you could actually, if you say, I only want to see really strong links with a power trust of 30 or higher, or okay, I'll make it 25 or higher, you could actually, demo 1, save a slice, which would mean filter settings would be saved, and you can go back to those. Something here is already prepared, so we would just click the disavowed and ignored links, and could actually drill down into the specific link profile of links that we disavowed. And you see here we have a completely different picture about the anchor text breakdown. And by using this data slice, you can actually drill down into subsets of your links really quickly and compare those to each other. So typical way I use this is to just flip between different windows or export windows, export reports here and there to compare them later on. So again, we have the export as Excel and CSV and PDF here as well. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that all our reports can be scheduled for recurring reports. So one typical use would be to have a report, be it a link detox or a backlink profiling report, where you actually say, I want to load this every week and then get an email when the report is finished, including the PDF and the Excel sheet. So that's really, really handy for the clients that we have that are agencies that have to do reporting on a regular schedule for their clients. That's built in, and it's happening automatically, just like the link alerts. And another feature that is maybe noteworthy is that we have this favorites table here where we can actually add some of those links that we found useful to a favorites list to later look them up again. And these favorites are organized here in projects. Also a feature I hadn't mentioned yet. So we have projects set up, and you can think of projects like a data folder where you have all the reports for one project or for one client in one folder. Okay, and as you can see, I have a ton of projects here from my work with the LinkResearchTools, and all these reports are stored together. So that's useful for organization within your team or only for your own work. Okay. So what other tools do we have? The Backlink Profiler is one. The Choose tool is another one. The Choose is a bulk URL checker that allows you to check any kind of URL list that you have for all these different metrics that we have. So if you want to compare a set of URLs, and these would be a couple flower sites, by link velocity trends, we see that actually only 3 of the 11 that I have here have a link velocity trend that is not bigger than minus 50%, which means each of those websites that I analyzed here actually have a decreasing link growth, which is interesting to understand for the niche as well. Of course, you could use those functionalities to check your link partners. You could check those to check your own networks. And as you can see, we drill down by a multitude of different metrics, be it the IP address, the US city, popularity, and you can drill down and filter by all criteria that we have across the toolkit. One popular feature here is also the theme that displays a classification of the website. Obviously, it's not too detailed, so we say shopping, not flower shopping, but I think it makes sense to classify only among a set of roughly 120 different categories. And that becomes really helpful if you use the competitive landscape analyzer. The competitive landscape analyzer is a competitive research tool that helps you quickly understand how does my website, this would be the orange one here, Interflora, compare to the competition. And you see the dark green bar are the top 3 of my competition. The next bar, the middle green, is the top 5, and the light green here is the average over the top 10. What you clearly see is that Interflora, for instance, has the biggest chunk of low-quality links compared to the other websites. And actually, that's a picture I saw when I compared losers in Penguin 3 versus winners. So that's why I thought this website should have tanked in Penguin 3 already. What's really interesting is that we also have here the follow versus no follow ratio, where we have quite a decent ratio now, given that, well, we saw a lot of spam already. Deep link ratio is one metric. The country where links are coming from, where we actually see that Interflora has a notch more links from the UK, which is good for them and actually makes sense for the target market. And all of these tools that we have 2 different modes. They have a deep dive mode and a quick mode. The quick mode runs for a couple seconds. The deep dive mode could run for a couple minutes or even an hour. So to give you an example, we got a full report here for Interflora as well. And you see it compares not 38,000 links, but 46,000 links, and has a lot more data metrics in there. So one data metric that we just recently added, for example, is the Google Author ID. And we see that Interflora actually has 6% of their backlinks coming from Google authors, compared to an average of 4%. That's slightly more than the industry has, and I wouldn't overdo that. Having too much is just as bad as having too less. Link locations are another feature. It could be, for instance, that you or your competitors would have a huge chunk of footer links. That doesn't seem to be very significant here, but this is one view on the relative relation between these different types of links from paragraphs and in-content and linked lists. In absolute numbers, well, it sometimes looks different. But in this case, I would just say that the number of links from paragraphs and in-content are lower, simply lower, compared to the top 3 average. Another thing here to look at is, for instance, how many links are on websites that have a lot of pages indexed. For instance, 1,200 links from Interflora come from websites that have more than 10,000 pages. As you can see, the picture looks a little bit different here, comparing the top 3 on average to Interflora, but it's still a similar trend from my perspective. You would have to dive deeper to actually compare more sites to each other, or actually compare these numbers, because we have some high and low numbers here, and this detail table of course helps you understand that better. Link types would be text or image. Link status we've already seen with follow and no follow, but you also classify the technical type of a website. And here we can see that, for instance, the number of links from link directories here for Orange Interflora is the highest ever, higher than the competition on average, significantly, right? So that sticks out for me as well. And I think you get the idea of how much power you have with all these different classifiers, these different metrics in the competitive landscape analyzer. This is the final one again. We compare what theme, what type of website is the website that links to you. Okay, and I would say the mix is pretty good here. There's nothing sticking out, but you know, sometimes in an industry, a guy has 80% of his links just from blogs, while the average would be 20. Okay. So, looking further, some other tools to look at here. Let me check. Yeah, this is the tool that I mentioned, the Serb research tool. It got 5 keyword phrases here: heart disease plus charity plus donate, or AIDS charity donate, or HIV charity donate, on the hunt for donation pages where you could maybe have luck becoming a charity donor and get a decent link back from either the you know, your logo or a sponsor page, stuff like that. And you see, although we crawl 200 results here per keyword, multiplied by 5 keywords would have been 1,000 results. Deduplicating those and making sure that we only show those that do not link to Interflora already, we only get back 71 entries. And with this prepared slice here for the good links, I can even drill down to only have 39. And then these 39, I could still, you know, filter and say, I want the strongest link that I could get. And this would be on the Charity AIDS Foundation and the British Heart Foundation. Okay, so I would go after these two and mark them as favorites to dive deeper. And you know, you got a couple other things to start up here in these URL actions to load up other tools, but that's, I would say, an advanced usage. The thing is, you use this tool for prospecting and say, this is my link, and this is my link, and this is my link. After having someone decide, of course, you can use this information from your favorites, select these, and send them to Raven or send them to the contact finder, which would mean we would load up, like here, the information to contact people. So if I run that, it would crawl the data for these 18 websites to get back, to give you back contact information, okay? And yeah, I think that's the quick demo from Serb Research and the contact finder. And finally, well, we won't be able to look at all the tools, but another one that's quite interesting here is the missing link tool, where again I said I want 11 domains, 11 flower domains, like Marks and Spencer's, Pro Flowers, Next Flowers, and look which of these links, which of the links that go to them are not linking to me, Interflora in this case, yet. And we find 614 links only because I furthermore restricted that to see only links that link to at least 2 of my competitors. Of course, if you say I want every link that goes to any of my competitors, well, that would be thousands of links to go through, but in this case, you have already restricted those and filtered down to having websites linking to 2 websites of your competitors. And you can see there are some pretty low quality links here with Power Trust 0, but the remaining links are pretty powerful. And they come from different countries, like here, even different cities. And if you're into local, then this could really make sense to analyze. But looking at the detail table here, you can easily, sort by the Power Trust and find, again, interesting sites like the Prostate Cancer UK that already links to Charity Flowers and Marks and Spencer's. You could, well, Hub Pages is probably not what we want. Yale does link to 1-800 and FTD, which is probably employee benefits. You could look at Crunchbase. I mean, you could set up a free profile on Crunchbase, and that's pretty decent site. Only 1-800 and Serenada have used that option yet. And we have job boards. These links from Monsters are actually, well, job posts. And we would have to check on those links. Those are probably no follow. But I think you get the idea of how you could go through the list. And if we reset the filters here again, hello. Hang on, sorry. Something's wrong with my browser. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Yeah. Let me load that real quick. Something's wrong with my browser, I'm sorry. What I was about to finish was that you could actually drill down and only look at those websites that have, for instance, a theme that says a charity, for instance, okay? I think now I remember why I stopped using Goto. Where is that? Okay. Well, anyways, we're running out of time, and the other tools I could briefly mention, and I would be happy to give you the chance to actually look at the tools yourself, because there's just too much stuff to work with. And I think the major takeaway is using the link research tools is so much more than just listing backlinks. I know a lot of new users that come on board are, loading a list of links and then process them in Excel. But what we do is we actually aggregate data. We already analyze the data for you to allow you to take care of what's important, going after the links, be it building them up or cleaning them down, instead of messing with Excel sheets and pivot tables and that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. I think we're pretty close to the end here in timing, so I would like to switch back to this final slide here with my contact information, and also make sure that you get those links that I mentioned before in the presentation. Hang on. So I'm going to paste those. Into the Q&A window. Yeah, you should have all your links that I mentioned before.
Yes, they're in the chat for those who are joining in the chat. The links are in the chat.
In the chat. Okay, so I think it's time for questions.
Yes, that was very impressive, Christoph. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, there is a question, by the way, from one of the people in the audience, but I want to kick off with one of my own questions. That if I'm looking at this, aren't you just playing around with this all day, trying to figure out cool stuff about Interfloor and stuff? Do you actually get some work done, or are you just playing around with this? Because that's how it feels like. Like, oh, you can play with this.
Well, if you read the post about 101 great new links, you see that by using 3 different tools, already got opportunities to build 101 links. You still have to go after these links, right?
Yeah.
But you first have to find these opportunities. For a website that has 10,000s or even millions of links already, it's not easy to add something of value to the profile because maybe you're already linked everywhere in your niche already.
Yeah.
And it's of course back in the days when it used to be cool to just slash up pages and free blocks somewhere to create a new link, that was something, let's say, feasible and kind of worked. But that's not the case today. One method, for instance, that we have in Link Detox is to verify each link before you build it. So we have a simulation mode, we call it what if mode, where you can, even if you think the link is good, give it to Link Detox, what if mode. Link Detox analyzes all your existing links and tells you if those new links would actually trigger a network rule.
Cool.
If those would become suspicious or toxic after you build them. And I agree that you know, this is really something that people have to get used to. If we are aware that 2013 is the year where we don't talk about the cost per link, but the risk per link, then you have to proactively start taking care about your links.
Yeah.
Be it your old links. You know, I wrote on Search Engine Land yesterday that Interfloor probably already started disavowing some of the old stuff that we don't see is disavowed. But everyone should actually start looking at his backlink profile today to understand which of those links could get me in trouble. And for every new link, a second thought is worth gold in many cases, right? So playing around with the tools, researching in what the competition has or not, also sparkles new ideas.
Absolutely.
Of what you could do. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with that one actually. Risk per link. That's a good one. I'm gonna go to a question from one of the people in the audience, which is Daniel Bianchini. He says, "I noticed that you had credits by each report. How many credits does a report take?"
Okay, that's a tough question because the number of credits that you use per report depends on the report and the volume that you have. For instance, we have a feature called Link Boost where you can just maximize the number of links that you analyze and say, I want 5 times more than a quota. So an enterprise account would return, for instance, in the Backlink Profiler 10,000 links or 50,000 links.
Yeah.
By the way, we double up these quotas next week in a new release, so all accounts get the double quotas by default, but you can still, you know, multiply them by 5. So those would be 5 credits then per report. And also a feature that is coming is that we allow, you know, currently the limit in Link Detox, for instance, is 150,000 links. But if you are, well, not Amazon, but maybe another huge company, you have millions of links. And what we enable is analysis of millions of links that you, of course, have to pay more credits. than 1 for. And depending on the number of links, those would be, a formula that we calculate and let you confirm how many credits you need. In general, the more data we need to crawl, the more expensive it becomes. And if you have 1,000,000 links and you have 100 metrics for those 1,000,000 links, those would be 100 billion data points we have to crawl before you get to see the report. And that's a lot of crawling work that goes on in the backend, because we do all this crawling live. So every report that you get is fresh. It has been verified a couple minutes before you see it, that the link is there or not, and the current anchor text, the current link status. If we have a feature called redirect trace that verifies all the redirects that are on your links, and we also show you if some of these actually lose link juice. Also very helpful for cleaning up your link profile or fixing your link profile. But that means that there's like, depending on the volume that the report creates, the credits could be higher. Or the credit
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Daniel also asks, and that was a question I had myself. You talked about Cemper Power Trust earlier on in your presentation. How are those assigned? So how are the metrics assigned? How do they compare to others?
Okay. That's a good one. Actually, I want to bring up a page that helps understand that. Cemper Power Trust. Probably we're number 1 for that already. No, it is Search Engine Journal. When we launched it, I created this chart here. And actually, Power Trust, something is weird here in my browser. When we look at Power Trust, it's actually a compound metric that is being calculated as the multiple of power and trust. So every link can have some power, and the best comparison metric to power is PageRank. It's simply the logarithmic value of the link volume that you have there. But because you have a page that is being linked to by 1,000,000 pages, it would have a high power, in that formula, and it could have a high PageRank as well. But the trust is then calculated similar to the Google Trust Rank patent, which means if you have a page that is being linked to from a highly trusted seed website, this could be a university, this could be the BBC, the trust is higher than if you are on the 3rd or 4th or 5th redirection. So the closer a website or the closer a page is to a highly trusted other page, the higher its own trust. And this actually spans over multiple indirections, which means if you have a page with really low trust, it's way too far away from something that Google trusts. And so these two components are very interesting already. And we found out that by actually multiplying power and trust, we got to this matrix here where you see that it makes sense. If you have no power and no trust, then you should avoid them for all good. If you have a link that has some trust, but is maybe on a weaker page with not many inbound links, it's still good to get because you want to build trust. If you have a link that has a lot of inbound links, but those are not trusted, which would be a high power but a low trust, it's also so-so. You really are in a risky territory. But if both power and trust are high, which would be something here in the 36 to 50 area, which usually not a lot of links have, then those are the awesome links that you have to go after. So Cemper Power Trust is the one metric that you can actually trust according to these 4 types of links. And if you know the higher the Cemper Power Trust is, the better for me. You again have a metric to look at that takes both things into account, link strength and trust. Okay, so that's how it's been calculated. But of course, you can always look at the detailed data as well, be it on the page level, on the domain level, on the top domain level, and in all these aggregations, right?
Okay. Thank you. Oh, that's interesting. It's a better version of PageRank, you're saying?
Exactly. Well, it's actually PageRank plus so much more.
Yeah.
Actually, SEO Moz had Moz authority back in the days where I found out that, well, it's usually something in the 50s.
Okay.
And it's not really helpful to understand the trust of page. And we found a lot of low trust pages having actually an average Moz authority. And the problem there is that, the bigger the index that you calculate data on, the better the data gets.
Yep.
So today, power and trust, Kemper power and Kemper trust are calculated on the same index and are somewhat consistent to each other. And you
Cool.
can compare those. PageRank was back in the days delivered by Google. It's still delivered by Google, but it's highly, inflated with penalties. Suddenly, a website, just because it's selling links, loses its PageRank. That doesn't say anything about the link strength. It just says that Google disabled passing PageRank, which is some information too, but for link analysis, it doesn't help you that the same way, right? So
Yep.
we still have that data in there to look at, but power and trust are really consistent metrics to understand how much a link can do.
You mentioned some other tools already, or these providers, and that's a question that James Finlayson has about
Mm-hmm.
other providers, because he says Linked Research Tools seems to plug into all the big data providers like Majestic, OC, Systrix,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Which of
Mm-hmm.
these have you found to give the best data for Linked Research Tools to analyze?
Actually, these plugins that we provide, they're made for those clients that want to have everything, that want to take a second and a third view on the data. So while we already, with a superhero account, provide 110% more links than any of these other solutions, if you have a Majestic API, if you have a Systrix API, if you have an SEOMOS API, if you have an Ahrefs API key, you can plug that in with us and we suck up all that data as well. So the ultimate wet dream of a link analyst is that you plug in all these API keys, upload data that you get from Google Webmaster Tools, upload data that someone sent you a list where he thinks links are on, and we take all that plus our sources and combine them and validate them. Some of the backends mentioned have data that is up to 3 months old. You don't want to go after links that are not there anymore, and you don't want to compare, link status and link anchor texts if they have changed meanwhile. And if you combine all the data and it's consistent, that's so much more worth that you get out of the result, because you have a current snapshot. That's why the recrawling methodology that we have is, in my book, the only valid one. You want to, play around with it, as you call it, and you could spend 2 hours finding 100 awesome link prospects, but how many hours do you need to spend to get them? Actually, you actually have to call up people, you have to maybe create a great article to publish there, you might have to enter into whatever agreement to get those links, and that's so much more time, and you don't want to waste that time on the wrong decisions. It's like in software development. Every hour that you save or do not do in design costs you days or weeks in testing and bug fixing later on. And this is what the link research tools are for. Design your strategy, come up with a plan, and then let that execute. And quite often, the people deciding which links to go after and the people doing the actual outreach are two different persons or two different groups of people.
Yeah, I want to elaborate a little bit on this question and then go back to the questions from the audience, because the question, or you're almost answering right now, is what is your target audience? So what is the average user of Link Research Tools? Is that a really experienced SEO with starting SEO, or is it anybody, a marketer, CEO, who uses it?
Well, that's actually a great question, because we started out as the expert tools, as a toolkit for data geeks like me. Back in the days, I actually built the link research tools because there was nothing around that could aggregate all this information for me so that I can get a complete picture. So of course, if you have analysts in an SEO company that do competitive research, that go after the tricks of their black hat competitors to find where and why they redirect from where to where, that the tools are perfect. And we got a lot of clients for 3 or more years that have been with us that are in this, I would say, really expert level or even geek level. But then we have a lot of agencies now that utilize the outreach or actually the prospecting function. There are tools that provide just that, researching in the search results and providing contact information. And these two tools here, we got large agencies, for instance, in Berlin, there's one with over 100 people there in 25 different languages doing link research for link opportunities in 25 different languages with just these two tools. And then there's, of course, people who are, I would say, webmasters or just concerned owners where we built the Link Detox tool for. The Link Detox tool got so popular last summer, not only because it was here just in time, but because it's also a tool built for users who want a recommendation. Okay, every other tool needs you to actually read the data. Link Detox takes all the data and says, okay, these links are bad because they come from virus sites. These links are suspicious because they come from porn sites. These links are suspicious because they come from casino sites and you're not a casino. These links have a problem because they are not indexed anymore, etc., etc., etc. So by
it's
creating
not
link
just
detox.
saying it; it's also explaining it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by creating Link Detox more than half a year ago, we got this whole new audience of the everyday webmaster, and this even comes with a really cheap entry-level product where you could just run Link Detox once and then dig through the data that you get. As mentioned, if you have hundreds of bad links, you have to go through them. It just makes sense to take a report and then just digest that and see, oh my God, I still got those directory links that the guy from India created for me in 2007. Oh my God, and all the experiments that I made with SE Nuke, they are still there. And stuff like that has to be, digested and decided on how you want to proceed, because quite often you don't have a chance to contact anyone on some of those spam sites.
Okay.
So, and that's a huge group of thousands of users that we have that just run at Link Detox to understand where they at the moment. And we get, tons of requests where we get asked for consulting work for interpreting that work that we were not prepared to provide in the beginning from these guys that I would call standard webmasters or entry-level SEOs.
Okay.
And of course, those reports are sometimes given to the SEO agency also of that client, and they come back for more and do some deeper research with us.
So it's a different range of audience, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. With the enterprise level account, we have a multi-user functionality where we support multiple people working in the software in different projects and making sure that 5 or in some custom plans up to 30 people actually get the speed that they need, right? So we set up these custom plans for really large agencies where they can collaborate and work as performant as if they would have 30 individual accounts with us, right? And that's the other range of the scale.
Okay. The question from Emma North from actually follows nicely up on that. She asks, do we pay rental for each service as well as credits for each report? So she's actually asking about pricing. How does that work?
Well, the pricing, let me quickly pull that up. The pricing, we have 3 major plans that we offer and an entry-level plan. With a quick account, you get 5 of the most popular tools to use that I would call the entry-level tools, like quick backlinks, a quick domain compare. We haven't looked at quick domain compare, but I'm sure you're familiar with the type of information that you get. If I have a Camper.com and a stateofsearch.com, and you start that really quick, you get in a couple seconds just a comparison of these websites to each other. The number of domains linking to state of search is higher. The number of keywords that you're ranking is a lot higher than Camper.com. So the green already indicates the winner, and you can compare multiple domains by that. And those are, I would say, that the entry-level tools that are quite helpful.
Yep.
And they're all included in a quick plan. And then
that's a good one because we won.
Sorry, what was that?
It's a good one because state of search won.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see, we have these different tools here. The really advanced competitive research tools are only available in the superhero plan and up.
Yeah.
And they come with 200, 500 reports per month that are really sufficient for really heavy usage if you do competitive research on a regular basis. And you have to do competitive research actually for every keyword. Every keyword works different. Even, if you take, for example, the financial space, works a little bit different for every keyword, which makes it possible for you to understand which of those keywords maybe have an opportunity, a window of opportunity where other websites are weaker than mine, or where I, could have a great chance to rank better. That's something I always use with clients to actually, tell them we better not go for the glory keyword, but try one of these others first. And that's the goal of competitive research, to actually get an understanding of which keywords make more sense in the beginning than others. And the question, I think, was also, do we have to, and these are all monthly plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you can imagine, the superhero here is the most popular one because it has all the tools in there, and the processing speed here is also decent. Well, enterprise is still 8 times faster than the standard, but with the superhero, you're already quite decent in terms of processing speed. When it comes to Link Detox, we have a credit system where we have a default of credits, for instance, 100 credits per month in the enterprise account and 25 per month in the superhero, which should be sufficient if you run it for a couple websites of your clients. But then we have some heavy users that need more than that. And while Link Detox is quite costly in terms of processing, and sometimes it really runs for an hour if you have to verify 40,000 links and aggregate all them to classify them into separate rules, but we have add-on packages. So if you realize that in 1 month you need 50 more Link Detox because you want to do some evaluation for your client, or actually want to make sure that a website or one or two websites out of 20 or 30 that you want to buy are clean, or as clean as possible, then you can buy such an upgrade. And currently 100 extra Link Detox credits costs €100, so that's €1 per report then with this upgrade package, and that's quite helpful for users if they have spikes in their usage pattern.
Okay.
But in general, it's a monthly plan.
Yeah. There's one more question from the audience, but I want to ask that one as the last question because I think that you're going to point at some other place outside of the actual webinar. So I want to drop in my last question, which is we are, of course, in the Tools Week looking at different tools and comparing tools. Where does LinkResearchTools stand when it comes to other tools? So what are your USPs and how do you compare? So what kind of tools are comparable?
Okay. Well, actually, as mentioned, the reason why I built them was there was nothing around like LinkResearchTools. And still today, it looks like we're the only software that has all these different processes in link building. I've been building links myself since 2003. They have processes implemented that I still don't find in any other tools. There's no common outbound link analysis, for instance, in any other software. The link truth thief that looks where are my competitors linking to, and the common spots where they link to, you get a link from, which means indirectly they're linking to you. Nobody has that. Another thing mentioned already is the vast amount of link sources that we use that guarantees that we have more links than any other single source. And if you still plug in these other tools, we can even get more than that already. And that means this data aggregation methodology allows me to maximize the number of links with whatever data source I find and verify the data. Even if a linked list that supposedly has links on it that were there is not 100% correct, I can slap it in and verify it. And this is something that I have not seen in any other software. All the other software is focusing on ad hoc reports where you can really quickly see links, like in the quick backlinks tool that we've seen. So that's another USP. And then the number of different SEO metrics that we have, be it from SEMrush data, be it link velocity trends, be it SEO Moz numbers from Systrix, we aggregate all those to make sure that your metrics are included. And of course, the number of metrics grew over time as we got new users that said, okay, I want to see this number next to my links. And that's also something I haven't seen elsewhere. Usually the mantra is that a tool provides a list of links and maybe 2 or 3 metrics. And that's, it's easier to understand, it's easier to learn, but in the long run, you lose some valuable information. For instance, link velocity trends only got very important last April with the Penguin updates, as we found that those websites that got penalized got so many links from sites with negative link velocity. Okay, so they are included in a superhero now, just like the social metrics. And I think stuff like these dynamic filters, reports, recurring reports are quite handy in our case, and I think some of the other tools have that too, although I'm not sure about the level of implementation.
So bigger, faster, and more unique types of things you can do within the tool.
Yeah, exactly. Which also means a bit steeper learning curve. I have to say that you have to really take your time to dive into the toolkits, and the usual question comes is, well, I have been using this backlink checker so far. Why do you have all these other things? What else is there to do? And that has been the case since 2009 when I started the toolkit. I actually started to train people about these different ways of looking after links. And in fact, we just got a training running, and on March 22, we got a training here for our link research tool users, for the new users, and everyone who wants to join there, I would be happy to invite if he decides to go with link research tools. So that's a training, a classroom training, a full day in Vienna on March 22 in English. And we got a German one in April, and the next English one then would be in May. But we use that classroom training day to train people to actually utilize and use the full power of the tools.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm going to close, try to get to a close because we've been talking for over an hour actually.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, but I don't want people to just fall off, fall over.
Yeah.
I think that if they want to know more, they can get in touch with you, and that is something that they can do through the details which you are showing now, and which will also be on the post on State of Search, where you can watch the entire video again and look at the talk again if you want, or if people have missed it now, they will be able to look at there. The quick last question from Daniel was the fact that the question that he was looking for a case study where you have removed some of the toxic suspicious links and have seen a positive impact on that. I'm not sure if you have one of those. I presume you do. Is there a link to that? Maybe if you do.
A case study where I've removed links, I've seen a positive impact. I have not ready. The closest that comes to that is actually the search engine land post from yesterday about Interflora. Hang on.
Okay. That is a post which is on Search Engine Land and written by Christoph. So if you Google, it's on the front page now. So if you go there now, and you'll see it on the front page.
Exactly.
Interflora is back.
Exactly.
What did they fix and how did they come back so fast? That's on Search Engine Land.
Yeah. That's the closest one to that currently. But I've thought about putting together a huge white paper that lists the 280 websites that got the manual spam penalty revoked out of 300 in the next, well, month or two. So that will probably be very interesting.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so final thoughts. Is there one last thing you would like to say to people attending and listening?
One final word. Phew, just give it a try and take your time. Link research and SEO doesn't get easier. Just because we got fancier tools than we did have in the past doesn't mean SEO gets easier. And in fact, more thought has to be put into link building than ever. And as I said, don't worry about the cost per link anymore. Worry about the risk per link. And if you do risk management for your links, you will survive the next couple of years. And in fact, we will introduce some more functionalities to allow risk management, to support that on a link level. Because otherwise, Penguin 4, Penguin 5, whatever black white animal comes along, will cause trouble again. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Christoph. It's linkresearchtools.com. Go check it out. It's great. I was impressed. Thank you, Christoph.
Okay. Thank you, Bas. Bye-bye.
This video is part of the State of Search Tools Week. You can find more videos on stateofsearch.com/tools, demos and presentations of tools like search metrics, link research tools, analytics SEO, Majestic SEO, and LinkDex.